This is the theme song for the live stream of consciousness. You've got to ask yourself whether reality is a dream or if you are dreaming reality. We are all a part of the answer to the meaning of it all. Come in and join us for the moment we call now. Rise up, join in, raise the whole vibration. You are the master of reality's creation.
Welcome to Creating Reality. It all happens here in the live stream of consciousness. Now let's welcome your host of the moment, Michael Zinn.
Hey, happy 2026. Welcome to Creating Reality. I think that's what I'm going to be calling the show. It's still the live stream of consciousness, but Creating Reality is definitely going to be the theme of what's going on right now, because that's exactly what we're doing together. We're creating reality. So hello, happy new year. The first episode of the live stream of consciousness, Creating Reality of 2026. It's Thursday, January 8th, 9 p.m. on the East Coast. If you are here with me in the chat room, comment hashtag live. That will tell the algorithm that there's something going on that people should pay attention to and hopefully help to grow the community. Anytime you chat or leave an emoji in the chat, that also helps. So make yourself known. Say hello. I see a Ninja Kitty out there. Welcome, Ninja Kitty. Happy New Year. It's good to see you. And I see Evelyn out there. I don't know if Tim is here, but Evelyn is saying hello to Tim. And I'm excited to start the new year because creating reality is exactly what I've been doing. I realize that's what this show is about. That's what the show is doing. It's creating reality for me. And you guys who watch the show know that back in July in Costa Rica, the experience I had was really kind of like this triggering moment that I realized I have that power to really create my own reality. How I respond to things, how I navigate my way through a day is really completely in my control. And it makes life a lot easier and happier. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I do have a little bit of a ritual, I guess is a good word, or a custom that I do here. It's a moment. It's kind of taking control of the moment, grounding a little bit. It's something that is fundamental. I say it all the time. It's connecting with our breath. It's doing 3 breaths together. I do that and I kind of clear out the space energetically, physiologically. We clear out the space. Ninja Kitty is sage. That's right. I do that with my trusty sound bowl sage over here. So we are going to do this together. If you guys forget how to do it, it's very simple, right? Breathing. It's in through the nose, the way that we're doing it right now. It can be done through the mouth, but this is the way we do it at the beginning of the show. In through the nose, about 4 seconds. We hold it at the top for about a second, and then we push it out. We release anything that we don't want to hold on to, anything that happened during the day that we're done with, that we may have been thinking about and still aggravating us a little bit. Let go of it. We don't need to hold on to that. So let's do it together. Here we go. In through the nose. Hold it up at the top and push it out. Let's do another one. Hold it up at the top. Let's push it out. Let's get another tone from sage. There we go. Last one, breathing in. Pushing it out, just letting it all out. My favorite thing to do. So easy. 60 seconds connecting with your breath. Feels so good physiologically and energetically and I don't know, all of that stuff. All right, so let's get started. Let's create some reality for 2026. I am going to be talking to somebody who just came into my world that is super aligned with the same exact message of creating reality, just using different words. And that's what's so cool, I think, about this whole puzzle piece thing that I talked about the whole time, right? Every time we come on, I'm like, everyone holds a piece of the puzzle, and some people fit over here, some people fit over there. It's the way that you present yourself that connects you with your tribe. Your vibe attracts your tribe, right? We've all heard that saying. And I think it's just a matter of, some people are going to gravitate towards me because of my voice or because of my beard or whatever it might be about me physically, energetically, and hear my words and receive them. And I think everybody's got that. I think everybody's got their own way of expressing those words that other people are supposed to hear, right? Because even the idea of we're all one, we're all connected, I believe that we're all here to give each other those other pieces that are missing, right? And fill in the little gaps. So this year, working with Flying Point Media. You guys know I've been working over there and just doing some amazing things. One of the projects that we're working on is this woman who is a certified life coach, and kind of needed some help with her website and just kind of wanted to do a podcast and get out there with this message of, if not now, when? Which is exactly what we're doing now, right now, creating reality. That's the answer to the question. Her name's Eileen Falcon. She was such an amazingly sweet woman that we become friends, and I asked her to come on the show. So I am going to welcome my first guest of 2026 to the live stream of consciousness, creating reality, Miss Eileen Falcon. What's happening, Eileen? Good to see you.
Hey, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm really happy that you're here with me today because I think we're kind of aligned in mission. And this show was like a perfect platform. As we started doing your show, I said, I got to have you as a guest. So I think you decided to do a show because I think you saw it as a good platform to kind of get yourself out there and to get your message out there. But it was definitely an experience kind of getting you oriented to it, right? Because it's a much different platform than live speaking, which I'm still dying to see you do a group because Dan, your husband, is like, oh my God, you got to see her take a group. And that was really when we met and kind of sat and you told me who you were. That was really where you're coming from, that world of public speaking, which is terrifying for most people. So it was interesting that it was like nobody was even in the room, but like that was kind of terrifying for you. And I think it was just kind of divine, the way things work, because that's kind of my specialty, right? Is like showing you that all it is a conversation. All it is you really showing up as yourself. Right. There's nothing more to it. It may seem overwhelming with cameras in your face and microphones, right? And recording, ready to go. It might seem overwhelming, but really you are just doing such an amazing job, like settling into that role. So tell me how it feels going from one world to the other.
Well, first I want to compliment you on your opening of
thank you.
Even introducing this. I was like, wow, this is really cool, and how creative, and the way you put it like all together. I was thinking, like, if I was just tuning into this, not as a guest, but just like flipping through the channels and being like, what's this all about? Just that I feel that really draws people in, like, what does this even mean? Reality, and how you pieced all the different parts together. I really love that. Awesome. And then the breathing exercise and the bowl, like, oh, I'm in the right place right now because I've learned all that, the breathing exercises, because when you do it, and you do it quote unquote right, you literally feel like a release all in this area, and if I do it more, then I'm not always like wound up and, okay, what's next? Like, right. I'm really learning how to be in the moment. So I think that's a great way of, starting the show and stuff like that. So
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And again, that's really, even that is a part of the makeup of the show. It's all about intention, right? And so I've set that intention to create this environment, and it's amazing to me because I forget too, right, during the week to even do it. So like it's cool that Thursdays I get to like I gotta open my show, and I've gotta specifically do, like, I've created this almost like this place for me to do it and remind myself, oh my God, that feels so good.
Yeah, and that's funny because I actually learned about breathing. I used to be told I didn't breathe right because I have asthma, and I'm always like, like I don't rely on my asthma pump and stuff like that. But I definitely, a friend was like, you don't breathe properly, and I'm like, okay. And then I actually got into like the breathing realm more or less, and like really concentrating on the breathing and just doing it the best way that you can, because there is no right or wrong way of doing it and stuff like that.
Right.
And then when I went back to school to become a life coach, that's how we generate state before I start working with a client. It's like, all right, let's generate state. Let's, forget everything on the other side of that door. Let's just take a moment to become present, take a couple of deep breaths, and then, hi, how are you? You know what I'm saying? Or, what's going on and stuff. So I think that's definitely important, and giving yourself permission to do that. Like, oh, I know I'm doing it on Thursday, right, for the show, but maybe I can incorporate that into like my morning routine. Or, for me, I'm working with clients all day long, and it could just be this one long conversation, but with different faces, or in between each client. It's like, all right, I close my door for a minute, take a deep breath, and then, okay, who's the next person coming in? So then I can be present.
Reset. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I don't know if you remember, when I was a kid growing up, they had a little public service reading is fundamental campaign. So every time I do it, I'm like, breathing is fundamental, it's what's amazing about breathing is like, that is what keeps us alive. And normally we don't think about it during the day, right? It just happens, and it keeps us alive. And that's a good thing. But it's amazing how when you do take the moment to think about it and focus on it, just like how different that experience is, than just being alive. It's like that next level of being alive. Right? Very cool. So what made you? I mean, I know your story, so I want my audience to kind of know your story. So because you became a life coach, but you had almost like a whole previous life before you became a life coach. So why don't we go back a little bit and talk about your life and what brought you to being a life coach, and the book that you wrote. Eileen is also an author of a great book. So why don't we talk about that?
Well, I could be funny and start with, well, I was born on a beautiful Wednesday morning, as my mom always used to say when she would call me for my birthday every year. Oh, on a beautiful Wednesday morning, blah, 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 blah. And I really came to love that. But actually, the turnaround for me, or this new chapter in my story, as I've been saying lately, really started about 25 years ago. I was married. I was a mother of 5, and my father went in the hospital for a simple surgery. He did well. He got the go-ahead that he would be coming home soon. I remember the last day I spoke with him, and then, it just, something happened, and it took a turn for the worse, and he passed away. And that was just, I don't know, like just something happened. I can't really explain it, but something just shifted. Like that was the catalyst for, I have to do something different. I feel like I was just like existing, living, pushing a button, being the mother, feeding the kids, like a robot, just showing up and doing what was expected of me. And my father's death just really brought me to my knees of like, oh my God, now what? Like, what does this all mean? We're only here once. What am I doing with my life and stuff? And I was on a supermarket line and just really lost in grief and angry. I was just extremely angry. And Oprah had started her magazine that summer. And I was very mad at her smiling face on the magazine cover. And so I picked it up to keep me busy while the line was moving. And in the back of the magazine, you used to be able to rip out quotes. It was like on a little like index card.
Mm-hmm.
And I opened it up and there was the quote, if not now, when? And I, on a supermarket line was my aha moment that I was like, yeah, if not now, when? Like, when are you going to do what you think you should be doing or be led to do? And so I bought the magazine, subscribed to her magazine, and that magazine literally like just saved my life. And I treasured everything. And that was the beginning of just take one step forward, the next step forward. I didn't know what that meant actually, but I knew that I had to figure out what my happiness could be. Because my father would always ask me, Eileen, are you happy? And I would be like, yeah, don't worry about me. But deep down inside, it just eluded me. I have had brief, seasons of happiness, children, this, that, and the third, but like that inner, like, I'm good, that just was not there.
Yeah.
So I set out on a mission to honor him and figure it out. And, I got to tell you, when you were opening up tonight, I was just like, who am I? Like, I'm sitting here waiting to be on a podcast. Like this, like 25 years ago, this was not even in the realm.
Yeah.
So
I think the same thing every time. I don't, who am I? I'm doing a show. I'm hosting a show. You know me. I'm behind the scenes, right? I'm usually helping set up the lights. Oh, my hand gestures set off. I do.
I thought you were like, Michael.
No, hand gestures. See, like my camera does this weird thing if I do certain hand gestures. Anyway, yeah, like I often think that, right? But I also think about the whole process that happened when I did step in front of the camera and the whole story. And, my audience knows, the whole story, but like, it just kind of felt right. And it just hit this thing for me, about having these conversations with people and just, I guess seeing a lot of people struggle with, like you just said, a lot of people don't even realize that they're not happy. Right? They never even ask themselves truthfully, am I happy? They're just like, am I happy? Oh yeah, I'm happy. You know what I mean? And they assign certain things to that, like, oh yeah, I got a nice car or whatever it might be. And like, that's really not necessarily, happiness. And I think that's this movement, this kind of spirituality movement, this life coach movement, these people who are taking control of their life and asking themselves that question. I love that story because it was just seeing those words, right, that hit you, and you went from this moment of kind of like being angry, right, at seeing Oprah's smiling face, to forget about Oprah. You looked at yourself, right, and you were like, wait a second, what am I doing? And I'm tripping over my words, because to me that's a perfect example of taking control over your own reaction, right? Like, it didn't feel good to be angry at a smiling face on a magazine, right? And so how does that moment look to you now, like thinking about that you got angry at Oprah?
Well, it just go to show, showed me that I was in a really bad place. Like, I remember literally standing on that line, like, it's not moving fast enough. People around me are happy. How dare you be happy? I didn't want to keep having all the labels on me. I just like wanted to run.
Right.
And I couldn't. I was a mother of 5.
Right.
And I've often said it, that Oprah and that magazine and that moment was like a defining moment. I didn't have to pick up that magazine. Right. I could have just looked at her smiling face and called her a couple of names and be
Right.
on my way. But I was just
Right.
like, I need to, like, I was like, let me grab the magazine, let me touch it.
You
Let me,
took control of it. You took
yeah.
control of it. And again, to me, listening to it, like that was your reality up until that moment was like, oh, the line's not moving fast enough. Oh, this is all of these things that were way out of your control,
Mhm.
right? Like were affecting you, and you had something to point your finger at, right?
Mhm.
But if not now, when? You don't have anything to point your finger at except yourself and be like, I've got to take control of this. So I love the story. And so, and then, so what happened then? You started to train, you went to become certified.
Well, I actually read a book during that grieving process
Mhm.
about, because again, I was just so unhappy. And I was a mother of five. And like 1 minute, I didn't want them calling my name. And then the next minute, I was like, thank God they are keeping me in reality. And I read a book about finding gratitude in the grieving process, which just sounded like such an oxymoron to me.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I read that if you could come up with 5 things to be grateful for daily, you will change your mindset. And
Mhm.
I was just grasping at straws. Like, I will
Right.
do anything you tell me to get out of this pain. And
Right.
so I started literally writing down 5 things to be grateful for, kept it on a legal size yellow pad of paper,
Right.
started telling my friends about it, that, you can find gratitude even in the horrible situations,
Mhm.
created a gratitude text group.
Mhm.
And I always like, I didn't know that I was going to write a book. When I was 12 years old, a neighbor who was an invalid couldn't come out of the house. And so us teenagers did the food shopping for him. And then we were allowed to hang out with him. And I was always doodling. And he told me at 12, 13 years old, you're going to write a book someday.
Mhm.
And I'm
Mhm.
like, about what? He goes, I don't know, but you're going to write a book.
Mhm.
So all of a sudden I'm like, now I'm an adult, I'm doing this gratitude list, and the book idea, like, what would I write a book about? And then I started coming up with all these different ideas and stuff. And then all of a sudden, like, the light bulb went off, and it was like, Eileen, why don't you just do a book about your gratitude?
Mhm.
And so I set up an hour interview with a person who could help me.
Mhm.
And when they told me how much that would cost, I was like, yeah, that dream's not coming true right now.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
put it away. And I have God in my life and a whole bunch of faith. And I'm like, if it's meant to be, it will come to fruition.
Mhm.
And then not even a week later, another opportunity came knocking. And it was so good to be true. But I asked my husband to have a conversation with the person. And after they talked, he's like, yeah, sign up, let's do this. And that's how the book came to be. And so again, I didn't have this expectation of what I think the book should do or whatever. My job was just to write the book.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm not responsible for what the outcome will be,
How it's received, right?
but it was definitely like, you need to do this. You've been talking about it, you've been dreaming about it,
Mhm.
create the reality and just do it. I didn't
Mhm.
even tell anybody. I didn't even tell my children I was doing it.
Mhm. Mhm.
It was just me, God, my husband, and
Right.
it got published or whatever. And that's how the book came to me.
That's awesome. And I don't remember if we talked about this, but as you were talking and telling your story, you said, you got into this exercise of writing down 5 things that you were grateful for every day, and it was affecting you, right? You were seeing it have a positive effect, so that you started telling your friends about it.
Mhm.
Um, and you said you would write down 5 things you're grateful for every day, but you didn't say necessarily what they were, and we didn't even talk about this. But how many kids do you have?
I have 5.
Was that intentionally part of the title, or am I just kind of making a connection?
No, well, the 5 every day. And
Mhm.
then I was like, oh, isn't that interesting that I have 5 children?
Yeah.
And then when we were living in this house that we were renting at the time, I got this great idea for the kitchen wall. And so I painted, it looked like a picture frame.
Mm-hmm.
And I just put the words gratitude 5 on it. And then I asked each of my children to draw a picture of what they were grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just started spreading this mindset to my family, my friends, my clients. And for me, my experience, that I learned how to be grateful there are 2 moments in my life that are catalysts, like I would say the worst things I've been through. We had a Christmas tree fire, and my 4th child was burned and spent 2 months in the burn unit, and my father's passing.
Mm-hmm.
And in that grieving, I learned how to be grateful, which just to this day, still, like in one of the worst seasons of my life, I was clinging to give me something to be happy about, or finding gratitude even in, and you can find it. You can find it.
Yeah.
You know, even in the worst of situations, there's something to be grateful for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, it said that if you could do it for 90 days every day, you will change your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've been doing it for 25 years. So, you know, sometimes people are like, oh, you and your gratitude, you always find something to be grateful for. And I'm like, well, it's there if you go looking for it.
You change your mindset. You definitely did. And I'm again, like, that's what really, I think, attracted me to, you know, to become friends with you and to just work so closely with you, because that energy, and I believe it's infectious, and I believe it's authentic. And I think that that's really a part of why it is so effective, right? Because it's intentional. It's got all of these ingredients that make it up, right? It comes from this place that really makes it powerful. And again, it's unfortunate. I feel like we are kind of separated from that power, right? It's such a simple concept. If not now, when? Well, what does that mean? It just means start now. Do what you're meant to do, dummy. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a simple concept, and I think that it's a shame where it's almost hidden from us. You know, like it's not taught in school, that you're the director and the star of the movie that is your life. You know, and when you start to realize that, it starts to become truer and truer, and you get more and more power. And I think that's kind of where you're at right now. I also want to share, I didn't bring it up. Hold on, let me bring up the YouTube channel that we started. So Eileen has her own. Why did that not show up? Hold on one second. There it is. So Eileen has her own show now, 2 episodes deep, called If Not Now, When? And she brings on a guest, and they talk about their if not now, when experience, their own moment that they realized that they were in charge of their life and could live the life that they always saw for themselves, right? Because I think so many people feel like they're not living that life, like you were in the supermarket before that moment. You know, you felt like you weren't living that life, and it's really simple. So I encourage you guys to go check that out, and I have Eileen's website also down at the bottom of the screen, where you can see more about her and make appointment with her for her life coaching. So and I know that you're still, like, that's like an ongoing thing with you, right? Like, I know even as we were working together, you went down for some more kind of seminars and group stuff. You know, I feel like that's a great example of, like, you don't ever, like, kind of definitively become something. You're just, like, on the path. That's your path, is life coach, right? So that's what you're kind of constantly working at, right? And learning about.
Well, I work as a alcohol and drug counselor.
I was just going to go there.
Yeah, I'm around people all day that are either struggling, trying to figure it out, not recognizing, you know, that they do have the power to make the changes, despite how hard it might be, or not being able just focus on the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, as humans and us living in a very instant gratifying world, like push a button, Amazon's at your house, like roll down your window, food's being put through it. You know what I'm saying? Push a button, money comes out of a machine. You know, working on yourself and improving, you know, your reality and making it happen and not expecting it to go buy it or whatever, it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of dedication. And that's where, like, we tend to lose people because they just want that instant fix. And, you know, I'm 25 years in of acknowledging that I have the power to create my reality. And I was literally just talking to a client today. She's like, how do you always stay so happy and chipper and blah, blah? I'm like, it's like a job. You know what I mean? Like, I have to make a conscious decision that I'm going to show up today. I'm going to get out of bed. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to be the best that I can be. Doesn't mean that I'm always on 24/7, but making that conscious decision of I'm going to show up. You know, that's the biggest one. I'm going to show up.
It's the biggest one, and it's really like the most basic one, right? And it's like, but it's not only I'm going to show up, right? And I'm just responding to what you're saying, because it's also like, how am I going to show up? Right? Like, am I going to show up like, oh, here I am, I got to be here, you know, this sucks? Or am I going to show up going, all right, guys, what are we doing today? You know what I mean? And that was something that I've realized over the last couple of years as well. It's like any situation that you show up to, you should be showing up with that attitude of what am I bringing to this party? Not what am I going to get out of this party? Right? Because the more you bring to the party, the more you're going to get out of the party. You know what I mean? I feel like, you know, and especially, you know, I was telling you about a conversation that I had this week with a guy that I'm working with. I'm a client of his, right? We've hired this developer to work on a project with us, and I'm just really excited about the project. And I guess the way that I was talking to him was like super excited and passionate. And he's like, you know, tell me how you're, same thing. Like, how are you so happy? You know, like, why are you so excited about this? Like, this is work. And it wasn't in a bad way. It was because we had this kind of rapport and he trusted me. Right. So he said that to me. And I started to tell him some stories about my intention and how I put intention into how I show up to an interaction, right? The most simplest being like when you run into somebody and you're passing by and you're like, hey, how's it going? Right. And I think I told you about this whole story, right? And it's like that moment, I noticed that I would often respond like, hanging in there, or, you know, living the dream, you know, some sarcastic remark, or the response I would get from people would be that. And I noticed the energy that carried. And so I intentionally said, you know what, when someone asks me that question, I'm going to say, I'm great. I'm going to go somewhere in my head, find that gratitude, just like you're saying, you could always find gratitude, because I don't want to just say I'm great and not mean it. I wanted it to be authentic. So I would find something I was grateful for that day, for that moment. And I would be like, I'm great. And I noticed when I would say that to people and that was the energy I was contributing to that interaction, the difference it had, right? The effect that it had. And then I started actually busting on people when I would ask them the question and they would say, or hanging in there. I'd be like, yeah, that's not my favorite answer. and I would hold them accountable for it. And I think, you know, again, I think that's just my way of making those little ripples right out in the world and trying to make it a better place by having people think about their own accountability into their own happiness.
Well, you know, through the years when, you know, I've either just, you know, encouraged, you know, about the gratitude or actually been teaching about it, the resistance is incredible. You know, and it's I can't find anything to be grateful for. And I rattle off my eyesight. I'm breathing on my own. I have clothes to wear. I got to work safe. And I have a job. And they just, how did you do that so fast?
Right.
I'm like, it's all around you. It's a matter of acknowledging it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, and you bring up an important point, that's where I was saying I feel like we've been separated from that, right? The idea that I've got clothes on right now and I'm clothed and I'm comfortable, like you forget to be grateful for that, right? And not to get into this or that, right? But like I feel like the industrial age that was supposed to make life so easy on us,
Mhm.
I think it had a little bit of an adverse effect, right? Like we got a little too comfortable, and we forgot about gratitude. I think that's a part of it. I think there's a lot of variables in that equation. But again, here I am as kind of not warriors. I guess warriors is a good word, but advocates of accountability into that whole concept. Of taking accountability for your own well-being.
I was just teaching a workshop about 2 hours ago, and we were talking about, there were like 11 people in the room. And I'm like, I am the facilitator right now, but everyone in this room is a teacher. You're either going to teach how to grow and move forward, or you're going to teach that, yeah, I don't want to be like that. So you get to decide, do I want to teach and be an example that despite what I'm going through, that life is still happening around me, and I have a blurb over here. I was doing a DWI group, and they're in it. They're in the legal system, this, that, and the third, and I can respect that where they're at. But you're going to work. You have a home. You ate today. You're not in jail. You didn't kill anybody, and they just, yeah, you know what? You're right. And I think, unfortunately, one, it's not taught. It's really not talked about. And what's going on all around the world, and you could pick any topic that, people aren't feeling it. So they're not going to look for it, and it's a conscious decision to, despite what is going on, I can still be happy. I can still find the gratitude. And it takes work. Until it becomes natural.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not going to be a job forever, but
I was just gonna say that the thing that came to my mind was say that like when you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work, right?
right.
So I think that's what it becomes. You just realize the effect that it has on how you feel, right? And I think I made a post in the last couple of weeks about, if you want to feel better, treat somebody nice. Right, because even that, like, I see so many people, especially in social media, treating other people not so nice, and to me it's like very blatant, like, oh, you're trying to make yourself feel better about yourself.
Right.
But treating someone not nice is not going to make you feel better about yourself. It may kind of like a drug and seem like that way, like, but it's not. It's just toxic. It's just going to really like eat into you. I think, in my opinion, that's why I'm so aware of when I'm in an energetic exchange, and if I start getting angry or I start like feeling like I'm judging somebody, like I could feel it and it doesn't feel good. It feels yucky, right? I'm like, oh my God, why am I judging that person? Like, whereas previously, before I was aware of it, I would just that energy would feed itself. Like, oh, that person is such a prick, or whatever. And then I would just like build on that instead of be like, wait a second, why am I thinking that? And that doesn't feel good to think. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
And, people love to, especially on social media, people love to judge, chaos, drama, all of it. Because, as I often teach, if I'm pointing at you and judging you,
right.
then I don't have to look at myself.
Oh yeah, I thought you were going to say I got three fingers pointing back.
Right. But when you become conscious, if I'm sitting there judging you, the three fingers remind me like, hey, keep your side of the street clean. There's enough there to do work on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then that's where you learn to have compassion for other people and try to meet them halfway, because who am I to judge?
Right.
If I sit in judgment of you, then I am opening up the door for people. And, I have children, they're doing very well in life in different ways, and they deal with social media. And, sometimes they get critiqued and they just laugh at the comments. because they're just like, really? Like, yeah.
And that shows a good, healthy self-worth, I think, you know what I mean? Because I think a lot of people look at the comments in social media and they get affected by it, right? They're like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this person said this, that person said that. Where for me, it's like, well, that's just a reflection of them. Look at how ugly that is, right? Look at how it makes, look at the energy that's around it, right? Like instead of me taking on that energy and being like, oh my God, they hurt me, it's like, ooh, I feel bad for that person. Look at the energy that they're giving out. Like,
Well, this is all new to me, right? So I'm coming to you sometimes with what people are saying. And you said that, you taught me that, and I loved it. And so the other day there was a comment. I busted out laughing, like, oh my God, like you took that time to write that. You know nothing about me. And I'm going to exuberate my energy to try to, what, get you on my side or
right.
see it my way. Like, I'm just not going to do that.
That makes me so happy to hear that. Yeah, no, it really does, because I feel like, again, these are such simple concepts that because of the way we're raised, we don't realize that because of ego, right? Like ego, in psychology, ego is not something you get rid of, right? And there's important parts of an ego that are meant to be there, but operating from ego, right, is not gonna work, right? From you need to you need to kind of have a good relationship with your ego. You need to know when your ego is speaking and when your heart is speaking. I mean, I think there's a difference from that. And
Well, it's a very fine line of the ego running amok. You know what I'm saying? And like, like kind of like putting you up there or thinking you're better than, or I don't need help, or nobody can teach me, but the ego also can help guide you and stuff like that if used in the right way.
absolutely. No, absolutely. And I used to, I think early on I would be like, oh no, I killed my ego, I got rid of my ego. And then I realized that no, there were parts of my ego that I needed, that actually made me who I was. And again, not like on a better than anybody else. And I saw a good quote this week. Confidence is not walking into the room and thinking you're better than anybody else. It's not having to compare yourself with anybody else. And I love that. I think that that's so true, and just again such a simple remedy, especially when you're getting comments chucked at you on social media. You know what I mean? It's like, you're the one who's saying that stupidity. You know what I mean? Like you said, it made you laugh. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
relate to that because I see that stuff, and I'm just like, man, it makes me laugh, and it makes me sad too. Like, I'm
Yeah.
very compassionate, right? Like, oh man, like that's really the way you're viewing life.
Mhm.
You just want to give these people a hug, but like from a distance. Like a hug, but a safe hug.
Well, that's funny. In the DWI group tonight, we were talking again. There's 11 people in the room, and they all have one thing in common. They're there because of a DWI, and
Mhm.
from that, you get to know each other. You like things you don't like. You can't relate. You can relate or whatever. But that comparing, oh, I didn't do it that bad, or my case is like as soon as we compare, we lose,
Right.
and then we put like a wall in between, like I'll miss a great opportunity to get to know you and find out that we actually have more in common, or I can appreciate the differences. But once I put that comparing, I'm
Mhm.
putting one of us on a pedestal,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And then once I do that, it's not an even playing field,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I
And then,
love that. Yeah.
yeah, and comparison, brings on the jealousy, the envy, like all those yucky feelings and stuff. So, like, I don't have to compare myself to anyone. This is who I am,
Right.
warts and all. And
Right.
either you're going to like it or you're not. And I've just learned through my own walk that I don't spend any more time trying to get people to like me and be that chameleon.
Right.
This is who I am. I've worked very hard on who I'm becoming because I'm still becoming.
Yep.
And there are going to be people that like that, respect it, jive with it, or
Yeah.
there are going to be people that just no, goodbye.
Right.
Okay, See ya.
And that's fine, right? I love that too. I love healers and people who I watch who are like, listen, I'm not trying to convince you of what I'm saying. I'm just saying this, you can believe this or not, and there's an authenticity to that than the people who speak like, well, this is the way it is. But I think you said something else important there, and I think that these are parts of those lessons of becoming, right? And also navigating life. Like I'm thinking about what you're talking about, and these groups must be so amazing for you as a person to develop, because you've come to a certain place with yourself now that you're navigating these situations and getting to experience all of these different stories without that judgment, right? And I think you were saying earlier, like, I feel like we're all on this earth to help each other, to learn something from each other. Like, I may be more versed in certain things and you're coming to me, I'm the teacher and you're coming to me as a student, but even as the teacher, I'm learning from you as I'm teaching you. You know what I mean? I think that that's the exchange that's always happening. But you said something important too about, I think, emotions and certain things that feel a certain way. Like you mentioned jealousy, right? Like that comes from comparing yourself to someone else. And I find for me that now, because of all of the intention in how I feel, right, and being aware of how I feel, jealousy has actually turned to happiness. When I see somebody else doing well, I'm genuinely happy for them. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, that's so awesome. Like, and I'm not like, oh, I wish that could happen to me. I'm like, that is just so awesome for you. Like, and it's genuine. And I think that, again, that just kind of ripples through your essence to grow constantly and make you who you are. And then it ripples outward, in your interactions, when people are like, oh wow, that person was, normally people are jealous of me, right? And that person was genuinely happy for me, and it ripples out. I think that's great. So can you, I'm curious about a session with you, like what a session with you is like you did talk about kind of like what I did at the beginning of the show, right? You kind of clear the space, you create a space that's specifically meant for you to interact with your client. But somebody's coming to you and they're not in great shape. Like, tell us how that goes. How do you approach that? Like, can you have any interesting stories that you can tell without, giving away people's identities?
Yeah, no. So when I'm meeting someone, like someone is interested, they're asking for a strategy session, I'll take, like, say an hour. And it's like, okay, what brought you here? Why, what's making you, want to get in touch with me? Where are you at? What's happening in your life? And, if you give people the space and not interrupt them, they just tend to talk and talk and talk. And from that, then I can pull, okay, what's really going on here? Because again, a lot of people know how to function in dysfunction and think it's normal. And now they're recognizing that something's brewing. I'm not happy. I'm not being fulfilled. I'm not chasing a dream. We as humans, we use certain words that really limit our movement. Tomorrow, someday, not now, the money, the kids, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's always going to be something pulling at you. So I generate, a safe place for them to talk. And then from that conversation, it's like, all right, if you wanted to work with me individually, group sessions, there's many different ways that we can do this. Okay, what is it that you want to work on? And I try to, like, there's 4 areas, right, of like life. There's more, but like love and relationships, vocation, time and money, and health and well-being. Okay, so if I gave you those 4 categories, what's one that you would really want to start working on? And then I have different programs that we can work with. We could just be talking weekly to start figuring out and then introducing the different programs. But it's just really generating a safe place for this person to be able to try to start putting it together.
Yeah.
But again, the individual sessions, again, I could work with you once a week. We'll figure that out according to our schedules. I work with different programs where we're focused on a topic every week, to create this new, I don't know what you want to call it, a new
Mindset.
mindset. Or like, I have a client, like she wanted to work on love and relationships and time and money freedom. So that's what she's focusing on, very specific 2 areas of her life. And how do I get to that level of being financially secure and being in a healthy relationship? And again, it's doing the inner work. It's not like I'm giving her the guidance like, go here and you'll meet somebody. It's doing the inner work that will then attract what
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing is being accountable, right? Looking at yourself and looking at things, and I'm trying to process this, right? Because we got a comment here and we're in this moment, and I'm trying to relate it to what we're saying. Bob Long says the world is upside down. 2 more people just killed by ICE in Portland, and world peace would be a great start, right? Absolutely, the things that are going on outside are horrible, right? But I've got to decide how I'm going to let that affect me, right? Am I going to get myself all worked up about how horrible the world is? Because I think, and this is just me, I think energy is very significant, and intentions and thoughts are very significant. And I think that a big misunderstanding about like manifestation and thoughts are like, oh my God, we need world peace. Oh my God, we need world peace. Well, that's saying there is no world peace. Right. And I feel like we need to say, thank God for the peace that we do have. Wherever that peace is that we can find, right? Like, yeah, there's maybe not peace over here or over here, but someplace there is peace, right? And I feel like it's kind of the way we express it. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, I'm broke. I wish I had money. I wish I had money. Well, basically you're saying I don't have money. You're basically reinforcing that idea. So I know it sounds like woo-woo, right? But I know that it's worked for me, and that is to act as if it already is, right? So instead of saying, oh, it would be great if there was world peace, like I said, thank God there's peace here. Thank God there's peace here. Being grateful for the peace that is, or the peace that you visualize. I know that was a little bit of a tangent, but I saw that comment come in, and I kind of, again, I react to it because that's what's going on in the world, but I don't want to engage in it, and I don't want to give that energy, right? That whole idea of like, this is good, ICE is bad, all of the stuff that's going on, right? And again, not trying to stick my head in the sand and ignore it. You know what I mean? Like, I acknowledge it, and I have my feelings about it, but I feel like what we can do as individuals is just have control over our own energy and our own reaction to it, right? And have control over our own peace. Don't let that take your peace away, right? What's going on outside in the world, don't let that take your peace away. So that's just my response to Bob. And Bob, I agree with you, Bob. It's atrocious what's going out there, and it's not you're not doing it, I'm not doing it. So, yes, we all have to stay in the moment.
Can I just want to encourage Bob, and something I had to learn. Let it begin with me is a great slogan in the recovery world. And if I want world peace, let it begin with me. You're not changing everything in this world. You're humanly impossible. It's impossible, and you're powerless over it. But you're powerful over your world.
Absolutely.
So if I want peace in the world, let it begin with me. Being kind to the people I come across, my neighbors, the people in the supermarket, generating your little world, And I remember really quick, between 9/11 and COVID. 9/11, they just kept playing the plane over and over and over again. And a psychologist came on and said, if you have little children in the room, take them out. Adults understand that it only happened once. Children are going to think that it kept happening over and over again.
Yeah.
The news is very powerful. I experienced it personally with the fire. They want you. It's driven. It's done on purpose.
Yeah.
And COVID, people were literally addicted to watching the news, living in fear, generating, being afraid of everything and everyone. It divided us more than the disease itself.
Yeah.
Right. And yet I created a world. I'm not watching the news. I'm very informed. I know what's going on in the world. I choose not to watch that all day because it's some form of a brainwash.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I went to work every day during COVID. I never got COVID. And so I just generated this state that I'm going to do my part and I'm going to help the people I can that come in my way, right, in my path.
Yep, exactly.
And it does sound very woo-woo and stuff like that. I don't get caught up in what's happening because I'm powerless over the majority of it, but I am very powerful over the people I come in contact with, the way I carry myself, the way I treat people. And, think about this really quick. Think about how many news stations are on TV blaring the same message all day.
Yep.
And there's 1 hour, used to be 1 hour of positive TV on Friday nights at 7:00. 1 hour.
Yeah.
Telling about the goodness in the world and the kind people and the people that are helping. I choose to believe that, yes, the world is upside down right now. I'm going to acknowledge that. But I turn to prayer. I turn to faith. I'm just going to do my part because that mental chaos, that's not really good for the energy.
Absolutely. No, 1,000,000%. And what I'm thinking too right now is energy goes where focus flows or something like. So Bob, again, appreciate you being here so much, and I do appreciate your words here, and this is my response, and I appreciate it because you're giving me the opportunity to say this, right? Fear is a powerful force of manipulation, 1,000,000%.
Yes.
But instead of thinking that, Bob, love is a more powerful force of manipulation than fear is. And 1,000,000 people living in fear, one person living in true love is more powerful than 1,000,000 people living in fear. There is some statistic I'm exaggerating that statistic, but there is a statistic that talks about that. So the reason I'm saying this, Bob, is because you're choosing, this is what you chose to comment, right? But I'm choosing to say love is a powerful energy, and it's my choice, and it can easily be your choice. So instead of feel, and I'm not saying to ignore the fear, right? I'm saying to choose the love, is what I'm saying. And Bob says, I haven't watched TV in 6 years. That is an amazing, right there. That's a perfect choice.
Yeah.
I stopped subscribing to cable TV when it, got up to $80 or something. And now it's probably like $150 or $200, but again, here, Bob, you're commenting again. I'm not even, what they've done with love is they've made it a weakness. You are in control. I'm not even going to read the whole thing. You're in control of what you do with your love. Forget about what they're doing. Forget about what they're doing, because they're doing a lot of stupid shit. I agree with you. I agree with you. And it's a lot of not good shit, but I am not in charge of what they're doing. I'm only in charge of how I respond. And that's really, that's the last I'm gonna give that topic energy. But Eileen, can you believe it's been an hour? We've burned through a whole hour.
Well, when I asked you how long are we talking, you're like, well, I know.
Yeah, no.
Okay, let's go. I can stay on all night.
I'm just saying it goes really fast.
It does. When you're talking about good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. So what's next for you? I mean, I'm imagining we're going to continue to do your podcast. Where do you see your podcast going for you? Where do you see you going from there?
Michael, I can honestly say that 25 years ago, when my dad passed away and I made the decision to start showing up, I don't have a plan. Doing this was not a plan. Like,
Mm,
writing the book was not a plan.
right.
A podcast? What are you talking about? So, really, my job, I'm just showing up. And I really feel like I'm being led. There's a
Great.
there's a plan. And my
Great.
job is to just keep showing up, because if I don't, then I'm either going to go backwards or I'm going to stay stuck. And that I don't want to do anymore. So I want to say, I'm curious to see.
I love that. No, I love that, and I'm right there with you. We're here right now in this moment. I didn't know what was going to happen. You know what I mean? I know it feels good, like you said, and I feel like I'm supposed to keep showing up.
Yeah.
Right. So you're gonna just keep showing up because that's what feels right, and that's a totally good answer. And I'm excited for you because I feel like you're in the right space. It always felt right to me from the moment we met. I think there was a sense of like, okay, some connection is here, and there's a reason that we're both kind of in this space.
Well,
So
if you believe that things are aligned, like how else would I have met you? How else would I have met you? And I remember that day so clearly. You heard me talking to somebody, you came out of the office and boom, like we just clicked and stuff like that. So
yeah.
how do I not keep showing up? Because otherwise, this would not be happening. People like you and people that are so encouraging, and Flying Point is just what a blessing in our lives. My husband as well. And what's the plan? I have no idea. I have no idea what 2026 is going to be, but I'm going to do my part to make it a good one.
You're trusting in it, and it's paying off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big thing too for me. It's like, how do you control stuff? Well, you control it by letting go of the idea that you have any sort of control of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then it starts to all fall into place.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that that's the case. And Bob, thank you for being here. We, the heart-centered people, are meant to be together in this time. It is needed. Absolutely, that is why we're here. That's why Eileen shows up. That's why I show up. That's why Evelyn shows up. That's why Scott shows up. What's up, Scott? Aho. I love the aho. I don't know if you're familiar with aho. I feel like it's maybe Hawaiian. Maybe Scott can give me some clarity on that. But aho is something I experienced recently on the retreats that I've been going to. And there's this ceremonial moment where you're opening up the space where you call on the spirits of the north and the east and the south and the west, and you say aho each direction, and it's like a exclamation of the divine. And he's telling me it's a Navajo
Indian.
tradition.
Mm.
Awesome. Native peoples. Awesome. And what's cool about that, and like, I know the spiritual stuff may be seem a little woo-woo sometimes, is there's an energy to it that I feel connected to, right? So even though I'm not sure what aho means, right, traditionally, I know that when I'm experiencing that moment, in that ceremonial moment, like, I feel it. I feel the energy. I feel connected to earth, fire, water, air, the natural elements. So whatever woo-woo it is, I definitely feel it.
Can I tell you a really quick story?
Absolutely.
Because I love the native. I'm part American Indian. And when my father passed away, my youngest one, she was like 3-4 years old, we would get balloons if we went out to eat or whatever. And she would draw a picture and be like, I love you, Grandpa. Kiss it and send it up to the sky. Sometimes we were in a rush and there were no words on it. Years later, I go talk to a psychic and my father comes through. And the person goes, who's the Native American? I'm like, oh, that would be my dad. He goes, oh, your connection must be very powerful for him to come through. He wants you to know that when the little one sends the balloons up with words, he really likes that.
Wow.
The whole room just like,
amazing
okay, we're done.
validation.
Goodbye.
Yeah, that's amazing validation. Something
So
so
that American, like I'm really,
So
Yeah, and the
specific.
nature and the trees and the water and yeah, for
Amazing.
sure. So I like that. I just learned that. I'm going to
Wonderful.
start saying that.
I love it. I love it.
Oh,
Kim Princess is out there telling me to cue the balloons. I think that this is the balloons.
okay.
Let's see. Nope, that's
there you go.
confetti. Let's see. Maybe it's there's the balloons. One peace sign is the balloon.
Oh, cool.
There we go. Very cool. Eileen, you're amazing. I'm so excited to have a new friend and be on this journey with you and to see where it goes. And just to put out ripples now, extra double powered ripples into the world. I love that my job allows me to do that, right? Help people who are making ripples make their ripples. So it's like we're making double ripples.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, thank you. It was a blast, and I'm honored to be on your show, and I'm really grateful that what you're doing for my life and stuff like that. It's going to be fun.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll be able to cut up a bunch of short clips from this show, and we'll share them.
Cool.
Awesome. All right, folks. Well, that is it. Another Thursday night, creating reality. We just spent an hour creating reality. I love it. Every Thursday, we are going to be doing that, creating reality. Next week, I actually do have some guests lined up. Last year, towards the end of the year, it was I wasn't even. It was like whatever happens next week, just show up, and I would always get a guest last minute. But next week, I have Gwen. What's her name? Gwen Johns. She has a network kind of like the Sacred Spiral Network, which I have another show on, but it's just a bunch of people doing shows. She's more oriented with paranormal experiences, ETs, and that kind of stuff, but she's got a bunch of great shows, and she's like the producer of all of it. So she's going to be on my show next week on Creating Reality, the live stream of consciousness. I hope you guys enjoy my new intro. I told you guys for a while I was going to work on a new one, and here it is. Eileen, we'll see you soon. We'll definitely have you back. And you guys, peace.
Thank you.
This is the theme song for the live stream of consciousness. You've got to ask yourself whether reality is a dream or if you are dreaming reality. We are all a part of the answer to the meaning of it all. Come in and join us for the moment we call now. Rise up, join in, raise the whole vibration. You are the master of reality's creation.
Welcome to Creating Reality. It all happens here in the live stream of consciousness. Now let's welcome your host of the moment, Michael Zinn.